and welcome to WKNZ's official sports podcast, In a Den. Hope that your first day of classes and second days have been going really good. We have ourselves quite a lineup today. I'm going to be doing a preview of the upcoming football volleyball seasons, and I'm also going to be doing a preview of the soccer openers that are this weekend. So, get your headphones on. Let's get straight to it. I would like to start the episode, though, with a brief memorial for NC State alumni Cozell McQueen, who passed away over the past week. He was someone who, despite being born in Paris, spent a good chunk of his life in the Carolinas. He was recruited in, I think it was 82, under Jimmy V, and was a key part of that front court with Thurl Bailey and Lorenzo Charles. And although he did not get into that superstar level, he was still a really good producer during his first few years with the program. You might most remember him for his time in the 1983 March Madness tournament, where he had a crucial game-time shot in overtime against Pepperdine. He had a crucial rebound late in the national championship that set up the game lead-in score near the end of the game before the notable miss in the national championship. He spent some time in the pros as well, playing with Milwaukee. He was drafted in Milwaukee, played a year with Detroit, and then played in various European leagues, especially in Spain and Italy. However, when his retirement came around, he became a big part of coming back home and spending time with a lot of the team with events, celebrating the team's history, or just kind of being in general someone who showed their face around a campus. He seemed to really love it here. All the teams seemed to love him. And yeah, again, it's very brief, but rest in peace to Cozell McQueen. All right. I know that. I mean, definitely make sure to pause the episode if you want a longer moment of silence for it. But figured, I know it's really bad tone shift. Figured I'll let you know, and I'll get started on the football preview. Last season, NC State took a step up by going 8-5 and 4-4 in the conference, good for ninth in a crazy, tumultuous ACC conference where nobody knew who on earth was going to win. And then, there became an issue with no ACC teams in the NCAA tournament. And that's, not here. Right now, they're back, and they're looking to maintain this level of success for the next year and beyond. I mean, I don't think this is a team a lot of guys are saying is a national title contender. I think the highest I've seen is them staying around this spot, maybe a little bit better. Let me see if I can find it. 2026 projections has them, about the same as where they were. But I mean, let's see what we got. I mean, it was a really high turnover year for this program. They lost a lot of quality offensive players to the transfer portal. But CJ Bailey, he's back for his third year under Realm. He was a really key point of course, the passing offense, and also created rushing tangent with Smothers. So we'll see how much of that we're going to get back. This offense will be the same in format, but the names are going to be really new. Um, the chatter about Bailey's draft stocks is starting to grow, and this could maybe be a make or break season for the next step, or even for his time at NC State. Because I mean, last year he flirted with the transfer portal and going to Miami. I think that could very well happen again here, especially if NC State does not feel like a place where he can develop his draft stock and his draft capabilities. And I mean, we'll have to see how this year goes for him. A lot of prospect boards have him as being an undrafted guy. I mean, it kind of makes sense, just on a play-to-play basis. It's not as efficient, and his arm isn't the craziest either. I think another year to grow will be really great. Um, Projected starters. There are a couple of transfers, most notably JoJo Trader and Davion Dozier are listed as starters. According to our lads at the receiver spot, the only starter receiving that was turned in for this year is Keenan Jackson. Duke Scott is ready to take over. He was previously the number 2 running back with about 500, close to 600 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 100 carries. But he's going to get the number 1 reps. He got the number 1 number. So we'll see if we can get some of that, flash creativity and just have like a really great season, like another really great season in our running back position. And the number 2 guy is now Davion Gus, who is from UNC. The offensive line isn't amazing, but Teague Anderson returns. He could be a guy that gets drafted. Spike Sowles Jr. returns. Kamen Smith returns. And the O-line transfers are 2 that I like a lot. Jamarion McCrimmon from ECU was a name that was thrown around in draft boards, especially in earlier episodes. And Daniel Cruz is a Texas guy, and that feels like a really good track record at least, and he will be getting the starting nod, it seems. I mean, a lot of fluctuation adjustment are still going to be needed for the team for these first few games. I think it's going to be set up well. We'll see just how this looks against Virginia in the next few weeks. And I think the home opener against Richmond, which we will talk about in a nearer episode, will be interesting to see. How do you think a deep wide receiver group, the running back and offensive line with talent? There's a lot of good talent here. There's a coach in his second year under this system, so it can grow and improve. It's something where I see a lot of worries, especially if players aren't able to take the next step, and the coach isn't either. But potentially wise, this is a top 5 offense in the ACC, I believe. The defense had a much more drastic overhaul. I think of all of the players that went to the NC State or went from NC State to the NFL, either from the draft or undrafted, it was like 6 of them were on the defensive side compared to like I think 8 overall. Devin Marshall and Caden Fordham are gone, which I think are like the 2 biggest impact leaves, and it's going to be really hard to find players who can return to those positions. Isaiah Shirley will be returning as nose tackle. There's going to be some new guys that are going to be starting who have been in the system before, with Price and Cleveland. There's a lot of transfers who are coming in for the linebacker core and for the secondary. Let's see. Dyson from Tulane, Aguirre from Miami, Florida, Evans. I only listed their last names. I don't know why I didn't do the full names. But there's a lot of linebacker talent that's coming in through the transfer portal. There's a lot of players that are returning that were also pretty talented. The front The defensive line is going to be pretty much the same, I think, with productivity, especially with next man up mentality. This defense is pretty much a band aid, ragtag underdog groups, which could maybe be really good if DJ Elliott is that NFL linebacker coach. This is the chance to really prove yourself kind of situation I could see happening with a lot of recruiting for this team. And then the secondary, it was the worst, I think, in the conference last year. And Devin Marshall was like the only bright spot of it. But Brian Nelson, he's the guy that I've been a fan of. Jackson Vick is finally ready to start. I think that will be fun to see. Tresdell is also returning. And King Mack, who is a guy that could be a draftee, is also coming in to start. So is the secondary better? Not really. I think it is just about the same, I guess, talent-wise. But, I mean, these are guys that I liked seeing in their small reps and their small, like the highs were really good with them. And so maybe there is something more to this than just a bunch of players thrown together. I don't think it'd be a top defense. I think it would definitely be the problem for the team. But if this linebacker group is as good as it could be, then again, this is a team that would have a really solid defense and could finish at ninth or even higher with it. Last thing I'd like to mention is special teams. The punter, Noonkester, he has wished the squad farewell. He has just recently graduated. And I guess we'll see what comes next for him in that regard. Who will replace him? Jackson Waller, senior from KD, Texas, and SMU. He got 41 yards per punt, 57 long, and 32% of his punts went into 20, which is about the same numbers as Noonkester. And so I could definitely see him just being a solid senior guy while the freshman recruit, Christian Hartham, gets more development. And I could definitely see Hartham getting some reps as well. But Waller's in this last year. We'll see how it goes. But I don't really think it'll be too bad. Kicker-wise, there was some drama with Nick Konashinsky. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And the eventual starter, I think he's the starter now for this year. Kanoa finished at 98% on extra points, 83% in field goals, and a longer 51 yards. So definitely get some threes in as long as the offense is just decent, which I think it will be. And I mean, special teams is important in all programs. I think they'll be successful in this regard. I think they'll be able to help their defense with, pinning them in a little bit. Now I think kicking will be able to get points on the board even if things are stalling, especially early in the season. Their schedule, only two of their four out of conference games went to bowl games. It was, hold on, what's their schedule? It was Appalachian State and Virginia. Virginia's in conference, but for this series, it's out of conference. I don't know. I don't make the rules on that. But those are the big two. Oh, no, Vanderbilt also is out of conference. And no, App State didn't make the bowl game. It's Vanderbilt and Virginia. Vanderbilt game, I think, will be really fun. Let's see. And then 4 of their 8 conference opponents made a bowl game. So that could be about 6 wins on the board and gets them in to a bowl game at least. But it would be nice to see some upsets. Some notable matchups: home opener against Richmond, prime time, nationally televised on the SEC network against Vanderbilt. That'll be fun, especially since, who knows, maybe NC State there. Educator Appreciation Day, Wake Forest. They have Duke at home, and their home finale against Syracuse. Their UNC rivalry game is an away game. Oh, look at this. I just saw this announced earlier today, too. Offensive captains are CJ Bailey, Duke Scott, and defensive captains are Popo Aguirre and Brian Nelson II. So, I don't know if that gets to you at all, but some little ass piece of news there. Anyways, let me get on to volleyball. NC State, compared to football, they took a big step back in volleyball. They went 8-12 in the conference, finished top 500. Outside the top 10 in conference and outside the top 100 in volleyball rankings. Their defense is still quality with a mild step down compared to last year, but their team is near the bottom in all major offensive statistics. Courtney Bryant, Sydney Daniels, Lily Cropper all graduate. Courtney Bryant, she was the lead-in hitter on the team. Sydney Daniels and Cropper were two solid defensive players. However, they did add a notable transfer, Katie Kilpatrick. She spent the last 3 years at Old Dominion. Her father's an alumni, and she has 3.84 digs per set as a libero, so a little more defensive quality put in. They managed to get a lot of decent sounding 3-star recruits this year. Callie Combs, the libero from Cincinnati, is a player of the year in Ohio. Nora Bush, middleback from Pennsylvania, Pottstown, 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year in volleyball. I think her state at least. Brittany Silver, an outside hitter from Greenville, who played on the USA volleyball tournament and was all volleyball team. McKenna Corwin, an opposite hitter from Peoria, Arizona, who's a multi-time state champion. And Evan Lawn, a setter from Fenton, Michigan, who is a 3-time prep volleyball All-American. There is a foundation to be built offensively with all of this. Rebecca Ring, Samaya Dorsey, Smith. Hold on, I forgot her name. Mackenzie Smith, I believe, is her name. And then there are some incoming talents as well with Silver and Corwin. There's great potential if realized with the coaching and veteran experience of Vondren. Why did I just put the last names? Claire Vondren, who's senior, and Jordan Smith. Sorry. But Rebecca Ring is going to be the head of the offense now. There's some good veterans. There's some really good freshmen. We'll see how it looks, but I think it will be at least fun to see. Defensively, a lot of upperclassmen returned for their last run with Elisa Falar, Talia Francombe, and of course Katie Kirkpatrick. All the seniors are going to be putting their chips to the center in order to just go out slamming and get something in. Maybe ACC tournament bid, NCAA tournament bid. Just push it for as long as they can. And they will have rotation with Sujia Masishiwicz, who was like the libero for last year. She took a lot of reps as a true freshman. And let's see, their out-of-conference schedule looks pretty lenient. Only 2 of the 9 made it to the NCAA tournament. Most notably was number 4 seed Indiana, and number 4 seed in a way that March Madness does their seeds. And 5 of their 17 ACC opponents made the NCAA tournament. Including most notably, Georgia Tech, Miami, Pitt, like all the heavy hitters they're going to be playing against. And 7 out of their opponents finished worse than them. So, I mean, if we just go based entirely off of that, that's That's 17 wins right there, which would be a step up. No, that would be 9 wins, and you would have to grab some here and there, but we'll see. We'll see. Their first game of the season, I think I will have a review on it. Let's see. Tonight they have the red and white game, which is just an not intramural, but pregame matchup, and they're going to be in Orlando in the UCF tournament as their opener next week. Speaking of openers, I will go on to my last big segments with men's soccer having to play against Coastal Carolina and women's soccer playing against Elon, both at home. Men's soccer, they finished number 2 ranked in the country, which makes sense as the runner-up. And Tyra Caton is preseason ACC Player of the Year to watch. They're going to open up this season hosting Coastal Carolina, who came off a 3-9-1 season, including a loss against Kentucky early in the Sun Belt tournament. They lost a lot of talent with 20 incoming players and practically no one from last year. And having NC State as their opener is just rough, but I'll get a little bit more into that. Last year, they gave up 26 goals in 14 games and about 2.5 yellow cards a game, which is about the worst in their conference. They did manage to get some decent players coming in, though. I have most notably a Houston Christian transfer, Theo Butterworth, who it was a pretty good defensive player in his freshman year, didn't play much his sophomore year, but is now back to hopefully tap into some of that defensive potential for the squad. And then also have New York Red Bulls developmental prospect Patrick Colano, who is returning but didn't really get any starting reps, who I expect really could. Goalie, their only goalie with notable reps that wasn't like a backup from a different school, to be frank, is Ben Hertel, who with Johnson County Community College in Kansas won runner-up in the JUCO Division II championship. The offense kind of in that same territory. They had 17 goals, and the team shooting at 13%, which I guess isn't terrible, but not great either. They just probably aren't getting the opportunity to take a lot of shots. But they could. They have another former Red Bulls prospect and top 150 recruit, Patrick Shaw, sophomore, former NC State player Isaac Busens in the midfield, and their biggest offensive producer who is returning, Robert Fedemarsson from Iceland. He's a junior. And the last player put down, Big East All-Tournament player Priest O'Brien from Providence. New York team could be a bulldozer matchup, but we'll see how the midfield matchup looks because I know NC State does have some turnover at that position as well, so there could maybe be an advantage for Coastal Carolina in that position. I doubt it, though. I mean, I guess maybe we'll see if Catton can be the guy he needs to be, who's going to be the big scorer with Phillips gone, all that jazz. The women's soccer is another one I don't really feel too confident about. It's a home opener. I think they're gonna have already played a game. Either by the time this by the time this is uploaded, they would have played James Madison, which maybe they won, maybe they lost. Only you know. Shoot. Okay. Their defense has been quality last year. Elon's has. They gave up the lowest number of goals at 16. And they're led by goalkeeper Katie Busgrove, who's returning with an 80% save rate. And have their stud defensive trio of Hill, Pierce, and Gilhouse, who are all either redshirt juniors or seniors. In their last run, They made the NCAA tournament. It's going to be rough and it's going to be fun. I will say, small correction, this isn't their home opener, but this is their much more fun game because Elon made a tournament. UNC Charlotte did not. They're second in their conference in total goals and one of the best in the league in shooting percentage team-wise at 14%. While they did lose their forward to Clemson, they still have their two goal-scoring leaders in redshirt junior forward Easton Murdoch and Gilhouse as a defensive player. Eva Hellner, she scored 2 goals versus VCU, and the team managed to produce 9 shots on goals and 24 shots in a 4-1 blowout versus VCU as their home opener. Veteran defensive core gives young offensive prospects a challenge from the get-go. In a wide range of positional scorers, defense, forward, midfielder, does provide a challenge for NC State defense. They gave up a goal against James Madison over the past week, but did not struggle against them. They won 3-1, and they beat Richmond 4-0. A player who's kind of become a really good scorer for them so far is Jade Bordelot with 3 goals. Daisy Duda, she's got herself an assist and a goal as well. And Ellie Breed, she has been starting in both of these games. She has 2 saves for a win percentage of 100. It was one of the backups, Merton Esteban, who gave up a goal against James Madison pretty late in the game. No, pretty early in the game. I misspoke. But I feel good about this, especially with those 2 blowout wins early on. I know the women's soccer struggled pretty early on in their schedules, but that's not going to be a problem here. So make sure to show out this weekend for, I guess, either one of the 2, Elon on Saturday or Coastal Carolina on Thursday. But that's all I have for you today. Hope you have a good day. And go Pack. Have a good first week.